Welcome back everyone to this Let's Play of Kerbal Space Program Better Than Ever. Now you'll remember in the previous episode we launched these 3 communication satellites on the single TriStar launcher. But they're not that useful all bundled together on the launcher. We need to spread them out in an equilateral triangle in order to create a communications network for our other satellites, such as this one we launched in an earlier episode. Now doing that is actually quite straightforward if you concentrate on the orbital period. Currently, at an altitude of just over 800 kilometers, our orbital period is 1 hour, 32 minutes and 29 seconds. If we take one of our satellites and we enlarge its orbit by a third, by the time it's done one of its orbits, it will have fallen a third behind the satellite launcher. If we take a second, extend its orbit by 2/3, it'll fall 2/3 behind, giving us our equilateral triangle we're after. So let's sort that out. Let's begin by just double checking our satellites, make sure we have our communitrons extended, but let's also make sure that our first dish is given a target of the active vessel. Now this is the primary purpose of these satellites, which is to relay the active vessel's signal back to Kerbin. So let's make sure we have one dish set to point at the active vessel on each of these 3 satellites. That's the third one in there. And activate that one. So that's the satellites prepared. So let's begin to position our first satellite. Let's control from here. There we go, control from here. And then decouple. Now I guess our first task is just to extend these various panels to make sure we can recharge our batteries. The second biggest sin after forgetting to extend your antenna is not to have any charge. So let's make sure our batteries are going to be fully charged. And finally, because we didn't stage this craft, let's make sure we activate our engine. Now before we complete our maneuvers, let's rename this vessel as Probe A. And now we need to extend our orbital period by a third, and that's 2 hours and 3 minutes. So let's point prograde and start accelerating our craft. So keep an eye on the orbital period. 2 hours, 3 minutes and 20 seconds. 1 hour 45. 150. Just throttle back a little. A little more. 2 hours. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Just a smidgen over. So all we have to do now is wait for the craft to go 1 full orbit. So let's warp to periapsis and let our craft arrive back 1 full orbit later. And you can see, looking from above there, that's about a third of an orbit behind. So all we have to do now is turn retrograde, but you can't. Now, despite the fact we do actually have a signal, I have found from time to time we don't actually get a connection. And the simplest way to fix this is to, let's call it a reboot, is just to switch to another vessel and then switch back. So if we go over to our TriStar launcher, there we go, still orbiting merrily on its way, on its original orbit. And now if we switch back to Probe A, we should find that our communications have been rebooted and now we have full control again. So let's just rotate back, prograde, and bring our orbital period back to 1 hour and 32 minutes and 29 seconds. So there we go, 148, 40, 35, 33. Here we go. There we go, almost perfect. Let's check back on the map. And there you can see if we center, that's pretty good. If you imagine the point of our triangle being here at the top, that does actually look pretty good. So that's probe A position. So let's switch back to our launcher and prepare to launch probe B. Doesn't matter which one we pick. So let's pick this one here on the top. Control from here. And then decouple. Now the process is exactly the same. Let's make sure we extend our panels. It's 2. This is pair number 3. And finally pair number 4. Again, let's make sure our engine is activated. And let's make sure we rename this vessel as probe B. Target ourselves prograde, and this time we want to extend our orbital period by 2/3, and that's 2 hours 34 minutes. So just over an hour to be extended. So here comes 150 in 2 hours. Throttle back just a little bit. 210, 220 coming up. This has got to be 234, so let's just throttle back a little bit further. A bit too much, there we go. 234. So again, all we have to do is go one orbit. And then we just need to slow down, or rather speed up, and bring our orbit back in. So let's go back out of map view, let's go retrograde, and this time we seem to have a connection, so that's all good. And we need to bring our orbital period down to 132.29. 2 hours 15. 2 hours. $145. 36, 5, 4. There we go. 132.30, almost within a second. So let's just double check. Bring ourselves focused on Kerbin. And that's pretty good. Now you can tell from how the line skims our debris orbit here from a previous launcher, we've not got it exactly right. But provided the satellites are all orbiting at about 132.30, 132.29, they won't bunch up, so these distances won't change, and we'll always have a clear route back to mission control. So that was a pretty successful second part of this mission. Now I'm going to clean up some debris and just make sure all of the antennae are fully functioning. But with that said, I'd like to thank you for watching this short episode and look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.